Hi, this is Chougule. I'm recording here from the Hyatt in San Francisco, and I want to do a video today addressing the question of whether or not your interest in the law matters in terms of law school admissions. Now, what sort of prompted the idea for this video is the one of the things that I found very interesting when I got to law school is that sort of before I went to law school, and also during the time I was in law school, especially when I would go to different conferences or I would meet various practicing lawyers and whatnot, is that I came across and met a lot of different people who told me basically that they had decided at a very, very early age that they wanted to be a lawyer, or they became very interested in becoming a lawyer or some kind of a legal professional at a young age. Now, I mean, there were different examples of this. Like I'm thinking of one friend of mine who began to read literally like law review and law journal articles in high school. A lot of these people obviously had parents who were lawyers and attorneys or judges who wanted to follow in their parents' footsteps. I often met a lot of true believing Catholics who were very passionate about pro-life issues, or sometimes I would meet people very interested in civil rights, and they kind of intuited at a young age that law could be a mechanism for pursuing their interests. So there's a lot of people out there who decide on some kind of a legal career early on. Now, the interesting thing is when I think about who my classmates were in law school, and I think about the people who actually navigated the law school admissions process successfully, I wouldn't say that those people, the people who took an interest in the law at a young age, are necessarily the ones who are getting in at a high rate. Some of them obviously do, but I also met just a lot of people in law school who were in law school, either because they were sort of using law school, frankly, to figure out what they wanted to do in life, or they maybe sort of pursued a lot of different interests and then kind of decided much later in life to go to law school, or they viewed law school as a vehicle or a path or a means of pursuing another interest, like maybe politics or business or consulting or something else. Now, okay, so what's the relevance here for law school admissions? And I think that, the truth of the matter is that how interested you are in law or a legal career or so forth is actually not all that relevant for law school admissions. And the reason is because there are certain things that are prioritized in the law school admissions process. The main one obviously is the LSAT. I mean, your LSAT score at the end of the day is the one single most important variable, and we can have a debate on how important the LSAT is in the grand scheme of things, whether or not it's a predictor of something, but law schools treat it as such, and so the reality is that if your only goal is to get into the top law school that you can, and you have a choice between spending all your time getting a 180 on the LSAT or really learning the ins and outs of administrative law, there's no question that you're much better off spending that time maximizing your LSAT score. Now, the same thing is true of your college GPA or your academic credentials more generally. The person who has a 4.0 GPA as an undergrad, taking a variety of different subjects and evincing no particular interest in the law, is any day going to be at an advantage over the guy with a 3.5 GPA who knows sort of the ins and outs of every Supreme Court case on the docket. So, okay, so what's the lesson here? Now, does that mean that your knowledge of the law is totally irrelevant? And the answer is no. But I think that what the lesson here is that um, if you want to get into the top law school possible, um, you need to sort of spend your time and energy and resources first on getting the core ingredients right, which is getting the highest possible LSAT score you can, and then really making sure that you have a solid, your academic credentials are solid, and that means sort of um, having a high GPA or just having a set of academic credentials that will sort of signal the right things about you to the admissions officers. Then beyond that, where your expertise in the law comes in, is that you have to figure out a way to sort of uh, show what you know, show your expertise, and package it in a narrative that creates a compelling application to law school. And what that means is, for example, showing the law school not only that you have this deep interest in constitutional law or criminal law or administrative law or whatever, but also showing them how your knowledge is actually going to add value to the school and your classmates, and how being at that law school, how the resources available there, how the faculty, how the programs, how the school, whatever, will sort of enable and facilitate your goals and the particular interests that you have. So the point here is if you don't have a long-standing interest in the law, that's not a big deal. But if you do have an interest in the law, that's great. But know that one, it cannot be a substitute for getting the core ingredients right on your application, and then two, that it's going to become really, really vital that you prepare an application that really sort of takes this expertise and knowledge and skill set and interest that you have and package it and present it in a narrative that's going to create a compelling application, one that will get you into the top school that you want to be at, and one that will lay the groundwork for a career in the years to come.